What's up, everyone? Thralls of Metal back again. I am Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are here to bring you yet another excellent album review. This time, we are bringing you the third album release of the band Mammoth, simply titled The End.
This one also comes out on the 24th of October on BMG Records. It's been formed in 2015 in LA. Again, this is their third album. We went over their second album, which was simply called Mammoth 2 back in 2023. And this band is, well, pretty well known, especially for the fact that the main guy behind it, who plays literally everything on here, is one Wolfgang Van Halen. He is the son of Eddie Van Halen, and this one was kind of requested in the comments, and I kind of wanted to go over it just because we went over the last one. Legit, that was my first time ever listening to his band, and honestly, it was pretty decent. I was like, all right, he's got like kind of a wide, swath in terms of like, the kinds of rock and metal and, different things he incorporates in his overall, I don't know what to call it, like just modern rock, power pop, hard rock. I don't know. It's kind of all those things, but dude is, very much his father's son, because man, can this kid play.
He's had a pretty interesting come up too. When he was probably 15 or 16, he was playing bass with Van Halen, which is some pretty big shoes to fill, and singing the backups and everything that Michael Anthony would sing. So he not only had good genetics on his side, but he also was pretty seasoned, at a young age. And the fact that he has the musical DNA that he does has really allowed him to kind of create his own voice. You can definitely hear lineage at times when you hear his lead playing. But aside from that, he sounds very unique and very much like himself, like a comprised influences of all the things that he kind of grew up loving.
He's an amalgamation of, all of his influences, ranging from, of course, Van Halen. It's definitely in there, especially in the lead playing, because dude, every lead on here is flat out scorching. That's pretty much what I said about the last album, too, and I was fucking right. But also bands like Foo Fighters, Cheap Trick, Clutch, even like some kind of deeper cuts here, like Helicopters. There's some moments on here that kind of reminded me a little bit of like just throwback, 70s rock with like a little bit of a punk kind of snarl to them. And even grunge and post-grunge. There's definitely Nirvana, there's definitely STP, there's definitely Soundgarden on here. And all of it is blended together pretty damn well. And all of it has kind of like a straight-to-your-face kind of formula in here. Like, this one is definitely a little bit more streamlined than the last one, where this one kind of just goes for the hook. Which I like that style, especially if you do, in fact, have those hooks. Like, the first song I heard off of this album was the title track. And, of course, props to the fucking music video, because it's absolutely awesome. Gore, horror, werewolves, vampires. It was also directed by Robert Rodriguez, who did From Dusk Till Dawn. There's even a reference in it with the chick with a very large snake on stage. And then, of course, we had Danny Trejo in there. Awesome, fun song. Kicks in with some fun tapping leads. It's energetic. It's got good pop hooks, but it still sounds edgy. It still sounds like, a little in your face. It's got the big beefy riffs behind it. And like that kind of describes a good chunk of like the first half of this album. It's boisterous, it's fun, it's hooky, it's built on some heavy kind of just fun riffs, but it has pop sensibilities.
The heavy metal syncopation in sections is also a nice touch that he likes to throw in. He has a really cool way of adding a Meshuggah type syncopation at times to his riffs, which is really a cool spice to add on, considering the rest of it sounds absolutely nothing like Meshuggah, obviously. The other thing that I kind of appreciate about this album and Wolfgang is the fact that I don't think he gets enough credit yet as a songwriter. I think he does a great job, just like his dad did, at creating songs that everyone wants to hear. That was the magic of Van Halen. Not only was he arguably, the most influential guitar player of all time, but he wrote songs that everybody wanted to listen to because they were good. He wasn't just shredding, he was shredding and composing. And I think those composition genes definitely trickled down, because once again, while this album is very direct, there is constant hooks and strong melodies and intense moments and things. So he does a really good job at really hitting home the hook or hitting home the melody. And he also does a good job at making sure that they are not corny or kind of cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, all right, there's a lot of stuff in here that's, like, hey, I'm talking about this, like, ripping fun party, or hey, this one goes out to my girl. A lot of the tropes. But he does it in, like, a very earnest, kind of, like, heartfelt way. Like, I mean, you brought up, like, he sang and, like, hung out with, like, Miles Kennedy, Mark Tremonti. There's definitely a little bit of Miles to his vocal style. There's also, I would say, like, in terms of, like, power pop vocalist, Robin Zander from Cheap Trick. They still sound gritty enough to kind of appeal to, like, just, like, the flat-out rocker, but also, like, to someone that just wants to hear something that's a little bit more, tender and relatable. There's tons of that on here. Songs like Same Old Song and The Spell, a lot of good blues rock hooks in there. Occasionally get, like, some piano in the background. There's a lot of stuff in there that kind of reminded me a bit of, like Clutch and such. Like, you get that kind of blues rock boogie. But the thing that I like about what he does in terms of, like, his songwriting is, these tropes are instantly recognizable. They're tried and true through the 70s, through the 80s, through the 90s. But he puts his own little splash on there, whether it's, like, taking a more straightforward riff or hook and kind of adding, like, just, like, a little interesting little, like, accent to it. Or playing it, like, slightly different. Or, again, like, having a weird syncopated fucking moment in there to kind of give it, like, a little bit of a bounce, too. And he rarely ever skirts on a good lead. Like, lead play, you don't hear lead play like this in a lot of modern rock. Or at least a lot of modern rock that I listen to kind of skips over that because... I don't listen to a lot of modern rock right now. There's just too much butt rock out there. I wouldn't call this butt rock.
No, this is not cheesy butt rock. If there is one thing, though, that I did notice about the album, and Nick also kind of mentioned it too, is the first half of the album feels very strong and inspired. As we get to the back half, like the back middle section, some of the songs, especially being kind of short, felt like they were just kind of rushing to get to the hook and then end the song.
Yeah, there's like a tonal change too. Like, the big shift I think happens after the song I Really Wanna, which is, I don't know, kind of the sleazy, raunchy song, but it's really not that raunchy. It's got the word fuck in it a couple of times.
Ooh, bad boy.
But see, here's the thing, like, Wolfgang comes across
too nice.
He's too nice. Sorry, Wolfgang, you're too nice. Like, I know
guy.
you're your dad's son, and your dad's awesome, and there's a good chance you're awesome too. I don't know you personally, but I feel like you also have, like, a little bit of, like, Kevin Smith and Jack Black. But you don't come across as, well, Diamond Dave, which this feels like a Diamond Dave song. Granted, you probably sing it way better than he ever fucking could. But this song, it's got kind of like a weird nu metal bounce to it. He's a kid of the 90s. But after that, like, you kind of feel like the more serious side of this album start to come out. Like, this is where you get into, like, the moody, brooding, like, post-grunge stuff. Like, this is the point when you start hearing, like, the more somber, kind of brooding songs you would associate with, like, Soundgarden, or even, like, Queens of the Stone Age and songs like Happy and Better Off. They kind of take that fun, rowdy bounce and kind of trim it back, and it gets a little bit more introspective. It's, a little bit darker. And I like that. It's a good mood change, but in terms of, like, the amount of energy that goes into them, you start noticing they start getting a little bit more trimmed down by the time you got down to something new. That song is kind of ironically titled because there's really not much new in there. Like, it's got a good riffy hook. It's very straightforward, but as we said, this one makes just a beeline for the chorus. Like, almost kind of skips over any sort of, like, notable verse, really. And, it's a good chorus and all, but it also feels like just, like, super stripped down. And this is where this one differs from the last one. The last one had surprises on it. Like, there were some flat out metal moments on there. They were like, okay, wow, that's not just rock. That's like a big metal riff in there. It also had some longer songs in there that were, almost kind of proggy. We made a comparison to Coheed and Cambria on the last one. I don't think we can make that comparison on this one. This feels like, I guess, what you would call the more mature album. It's streamlined. It goes to the hooks. The hooks are good. They're well-written songs, but instead of being adventurous and more expressive across the board, they kind of stay in their lane, which, I mean, granted, it's a good lane, but I couldn't help but to feel a little bit bored in comparison to, like, listening to the last one.
A lot of my favorite moments on this album are when they kind of hark back to the Foo Fighters type formula. And what I mean by that is that syncopated driving guitar with the attitude in the vocals. Songs like One of a Kind and Selfish really kind of use that formula to create a lot of energy, create a lot of excitement, and those tended to be the moments on the album that I really, really found myself getting into, is when the energy was sky high and it was just kind of rocking the beat. Because there are times I Really Wanna has almost like that new metal vibe, or like the song Better Off. It almost has like a country stomp or a country drum to it or something. I don't know. Something tells me you could maybe square dance to that song in a pinch. I don't know, but
that one kind of reminded me of Queens of the Stone Age, like that weird desert rock where all of a sudden you get like some weird slinky like riffs in there, and it's got a drunken swagger to it. Like it's not like a barn dance where everyone's all in time. Everyone's just running into each other and fucking puking corn liquor on each other.
And I think if they took sections or moments like that and let them breathe more, or maybe add a little bit more to some of those songs in the middle that kind of felt a little bit light, could have made them a lot stronger.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as I like the choruses on here, like he does know how to write a solid hook, and again, vocally very strong too. Some of the choruses felt a little bit interchangeable just because, there's a lot of songs in there that kind of hang out in that same arena. But I mean, across the board, like, I'm impressed with his playing. Like, he legit played everything on here. Even the drums, I guess this time, it wasn't just like, like a drum machine program that he wrote the riffs over. He actually was playing the drums back and forth, going between guitars and drums, like figuring out these songs, which I really liked, and he was like, yeah, this is kind of a fun, organic way to do this. And this was produced by Michael Baskett, who did a really solid job on here. Everything sounds rich and full. I mean, sound-wise, I don't have really any complaints. It's just, again, like more mature albums, the streamlined ones can be tough. Like sometimes you get ones that are absolutely killer, like, dude, I think Countdown to Extinction's a fucking solid album, but it's definitely the streamlined, version of Megadeth at that point. And then sometimes you get the Black Album, which I never need to hear that fucking album again. But this one was pretty solid, and overall, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It's got good riffs, good hooks. It's pretty fun for the most part. Like, it does kind of take like an introspective journey towards the end of the album, which I think is kind of necessary. It varies up the mood on here. This guy can't be happy all the fucking time. But I kind of miss the energy that this came out with. Like, this album kind of kicks down the door right away. It wants to party. It wants to fucking show you all the cool riffs it learned. It's a fun fucking rocker of an album. But, eventually the party dies down and starts getting serious, and, everyone starts talking about politics and religion. We're like, well, I need to go to bed. But for the most part, this was pretty damn fun. I still think the second one was a little bit more adventurous in terms of the songs. I would like to hear some of that come back. Like, I could totally see this guy do, like, another, 8-minute song or something like that with just cool, different riffy passages and movements. Love to hear that in the next one, but this is pretty straightforward, and honestly, I think this one's probably going to win over a lot of fans too. So yeah, check it out.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3.5. In comparison to the last album, it is night and day as far as what I feel like the approach was for the albums, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is that much weaker than the previous album. It's just different. I think the attention to the hooks and the attention to the vocal melodies were the focal point of this. He accomplished that. He did a good job. This is just kind of like an evolution in the songwriting to me for him as he continues to grow as a musician and a songwriter. But yeah, this is the mature album, and I thought he did it well. There's some things I would critique here and there, but other than that, I thought it was pretty solid. Playing is amazing. Songwriting, great. 3.5.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They're only 99 cents. Our Lone Perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will be doing one Wednesday night, probably around 9 o'clock. I will put up a post in the whole community section and remind you guys. Either way, membership's the main way to support the channel. If you'd like to join up, there's a join button down there for you to punch, hit, kick, drop an elbow on, do whatever you want to it. It can totally take the punishment. I know it told me.
But last and certainly not least, thank each and every one of you, the fans. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch our content. Leave your comments, your reviews, your personal opinions. Without the communication and interaction with you guys, this would all be for naught. So thank you so much for giving a couple idiots like ourselves the time of your day.
And our days, too. His days. everyone's taste. We get time now. I think they're right about us being idiots.
Definitely, yeah, we are idiots. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no, you guys absolutely rule. Tons of content coming your way. So one more big thank you because of all your awesomeness, and we will catch you later.